Hi, I'm Carrie Ann Stout, founder and CEO of Vinco Bar Exam Coaching. And we are back today with another interview with a successful Vinco student. David is going to tell us a little bit about his experience working with Vinco and give us some tips about the bar exam. So good morning, David. How are you today?
Hey, Carrie Ann. I'm doing great.
Thanks for getting up with us on a Saturday to chat about the bar exam.
It's totally fine. I thought it was done when I took it, and obviously I still got one more day left here.
Yeah, no, you're never really done with us. You'll find that out.
Yeah,
So,
it's totally fine with me.
let's jump in and answer some questions. So my first question for you is, when you were considering hiring someone to help you with the bar exam, what was important to you at that point? What were you looking for? What kind of support were you trying to find?
Yeah, so I was really looking for a more structured program. I actually had used a private tutor for a previous time that I sat for the bar exam. It obviously didn't go as I had planned to, otherwise I essentially would not have found you guys. But the private tutor that I had used previous to Vinco, there was just not a lot of structure. I didn't have like a set schedule of everything that I should be doing every single day. And so I was looking for structure because I'm someone who really needs to be told exactly what to do. And this is your checklist of things to do. And as long as you get this done, you're okay. But on top of that, I was also looking for sort of a confidence booster. I needed someone to be like, you're doing everything correct. Keep going. And that was something that I found to be really useful from Vinco. I had a coach who basically told me I was doing everything correct, to keep doing everything I was doing and possibly even more if I had the time to do it. I was looking for someone to lay out everything that I should be doing, which I did.
Which you did.
I had a great coach who we'll talk about in a few minutes, I'm sure. And he literally laid out every little thing that I should be doing. And if I got everything done, I can go ahead and text him or email him and say, what more can I do? And he'll lay out a whole bunch of more things for me to do.
Yeah. So like looking for that structure, looking for that, someone to be there for the confidence, like mindset part of it was important to you. And sort of on that same note, a lot of people are kind of, as hard as I try to explain like what is coaching versus tutoring, I get that it's a little confusing because I think coaching is still kind of new in the bar exam realm. And I've found that actually our students do a much better job explaining what we do than I do. So how would you explain like what bar coaching is versus tutoring?
Yeah. So I think the best way for me to explain this is, again, to sort of compare it to the private tutor that I had previously.
Sure, yeah.
And while the private tutor that I had, great person, really smart, really knowledgeable about the bar exam, which is important. You need someone who does know the information, who does know the law, and can sit there and answer your basic law questions. At the same time, a private tutor is really there just to answer, your law questions. Whereas I feel like with bar tutoring, or bar coaching, I should say, from Vinco, is everything. The bar exam is a marathon, as I'm sure most people here. It's not a sprint. It is a 2 to 3, sometimes even 4-month process, depending on how early you start studying. It is something that you devote a ton of time to, that you basically give up, even if you're working, even if you have kids, even if you have multiple different things that are pulling you in different directions. It is something that lasts a few months, and coaching is something that basically it helps you get through those 2 to 3 to 4 months. You can't just sit there and basically be emailing someone only when you have law questions. I can tell you that when I took the bar exam this time around, I was sick a couple days and I was freaking out that I couldn't get enough work done, or I was texting my coach saying, hey, what do I do? Do I not do any more work? Do I let today go and let it be essentially a break day and make sure I'm healthy and get going tomorrow for, a full day essentially?
Yeah.
Coaching, literally, it's like a life coach. Or if you go to a psychologist, if you go to a therapist and you're asking them what to do as a next step.
I love that like analogy. We use that analogy a lot. We're not licensed therapists or psychologists here at Vinco. I say we only play them on TV, play them during bar prep season.
But it's 100% true. You guys literally coach your students during the 3-month process that is what we call the bar exam, which includes how do I sleep? How do I eat? How do I take breaks in the middle of the day and watch my favorite TV show or go to the gym? How do I manage work or my children? Because some of the coaches have working children themselves. Some of them even took the bar exam with work and children going on at the same time.
Yeah. All the things. So
absolutely.
Thank you. I think that's really helpful for students to kind of get that perspective. And, you know, you've mentioned having taken the bar before and then taking it this time. What do you think, like, if you could just pick like one or two, what do you think the difference was the time that you were successful on passing the bar exam in terms of changes you made to your study habits?
Yeah. So I took the bar exam in total 4 times, 3 times before passing, and obviously did not pass those 3 times. And now this time is the 4th time that I finally passed. The first time I took one of your standard commercial bar prep courses, and I did everything on my own. I did everything they told me to do. And then the 2 times after that, one time I used a tutor, and one time we'll call it a fluke, but I basically did it myself again, and it just wasn't anything like the other 2 times. So that's why I call it a fluke.
Yeah.
And then we have the 4th time where I took Vinco. And the first 3 times, again, as I said, I'm someone who needs a regimen, and I know some of those commercial bar prep courses, they tell you what you should be doing, but there's no one there to actually monitor you and make sure you're doing. There's no accountability. If a bar prep course tells you, hey, you should be writing this essay, or hey, you should be doing this set of multiple choice. Okay, like you're telling me that. Who's going to make sure I do it? Who's going to actually? If I don't do it, what are the consequences? Whereas with Vinco, I feel like, one, I'm letting someone down if I don't do it. So it forces you to do it. And I don't care how bad or how great it feels, you're going to end up doing it, because you can't then meet with your coach and say, yeah, I've done this. It's very obvious if you've done it or not, because you can't discuss an essay. You can't talk about a couple questions you may have gotten wrong while doing a set of 15 multiple choice questions or something like that. So I've found that to be a big difference. For me, the biggest difference was probably my MBE, my multiple choice.
Okay.
The number that I've done in the past, the times that I did not pass the bar exam, I would estimate that I probably did close to anywhere from between 1,500 and 2,000 multiple choice questions.
Okay.
And I know everyone's study habits are different, and for some people that might be enough multiple choice questions, but I'm sitting here telling you that even if you think it's enough, it's not enough. This time around, I did nearly 4,000 multiple choice questions.
Woohoo! Woo! I wish I had like confetti, like cannon.
It also helped with Vinco. There were prizes and rewards for doing.
Yes, we bribe our students to do their multiple choice questions.
And it's a real thing. Bribery makes you want to do more. It makes you accountable. Having a coach,
it's a little fun, right? Like we run contests,
absolutely,
right? So it's just like, you know, you have to study for the bar if you want to pass, but it doesn't have to be miserable. And you're living proof that like having some stuff about it that doesn't suck helps to make students successful. Also,
for you know, I happen to be a very regimented person, and I love statistics. I love sports and literally looking up stats. Vinco literally makes you, while you're studying, you keep track of your statistics on your multiple choice, which happens to be great. And I never even thought about doing it for whatever reason. So Vinco basically makes you plug in how many multiple choice questions you're doing, and then it shows you a breakdown of what you're getting right versus what you're getting wrong by topic, by day, by anything. I mean, it just, the stats are there. And so for me, looking at the stats were fun. And I can then say, oh, I'm doing really terribly in this topic. Maybe I should do more questions here. Or, you know what? I'm really not getting this topic, and it doesn't matter how many questions I do. I'm going to just keep going the way I'm going, but I'm going to do more in my better topics knowing that it doesn't matter. The worst topic that isn't going to matter for me. It might not make a difference, or it might. It just depends. And so it allowed me to basically focus my studying and come out with great strategies for test day.
Yeah, like knowing, like having a realistic picture of where you are is so important. And so I feel like you've alluded to this a little bit, but if you were going to give someone who's gearing up to take the bar exam one piece of advice, what would it be?
Do as many multiple choice questions that you possibly can do. And I don't mean just, hey, your bar tutor or your bar coach says, do 50 questions today. You're definitely going to do those 50 questions. But at some point later in the day, you find yourself, you still have steam going. You feel like you can sit there for another hour studying, even another half hour studying. Do an extra 15 questions. Do an extra 30 questions. And they can be from anywhere you find them. If they're just lying on the floor and you're like, oh, I haven't touched these, pick them up and just sit there and do them. I'm going to tack on an extra word of advice there because it goes to this to the same point, and that is do all of your questions timed. And it's going to feel like a daunting task. You're going to say, what if I don't know the information? I haven't studied this. So how am I going to time myself for something that I haven't studied? Because the timing's not going to seem appropriate. It's not going to show the real value here. I get that. And that's totally fine. Do it timed anyway. Come up with an educated guess, because there are going to be times on the bar exam where you're not going to know the answer to a question, but you're going to learn how you get to that answer in a really quick manner and save yourself time elsewhere.
Spoken like straight from my heart. Like that you like very nicely summed up every objection we hear from students who don't want to do timed questions and rebutted them. So essentially you can just do my job now because that's all.
I wanted nothing to do with time questions when I first started with Vinco. I was fighting my coach on it. I don't know how to do it. He goes, do it anyway. And I hated every part of it until
you didn't, right? Until one day.
Until about 2 weeks in, and I started realizing why it is my coach is making me do time questions.
That's awesome. And so to end, this is my little like self-serving question, is what was your favorite part about working with Vinco?
I would say that I might be a little bit special because I made some really great friends. You can't
say Steve is your favorite part about working with Vinco. That's not fair to the rest of us.
There are some other Vinco students who I still talk to, and I made some good friends there, but also my bar exam coach and I got along really well. Luck of the draw, maybe Carrie Ann is really that smart and she knew exactly what
I'm pretty good at playing matchmaker.
but I made a great friend in my bar exam coach, and we still talk today, and we will keep talking forever. I would say that I woke up every single morning basically looking forward to my morning coach, my morning tutoring session, essentially. Which in the past I can't say I did. I didn't wake up looking forward to studying for the bar exam. I woke up every morning. Sometimes I had a call at 7 a.m. because Steve was an early person, and he was really happy to know that he had a student that could do that. Whereas most people on a Saturday or Sunday morning don't want to study for the bar exam until noon.
Later on. Ain't that the truth?
I got up and I was looking forward to studying for the bar early in the morning. I also really loved Vinco's use of the Slack app, which they use to basically as a text messaging platform. And so I didn't have to email Steve any questions, or if I was having a slight stress breakdown, I didn't have to email him and then wait a couple hours till he responded or whatever it is. Realistically, Steve doesn't take a couple hours to respond. He responds pretty quickly, but some people just don't look at their emails all that often.
Exactly.
So I could literally pick up my phone and text my coach via the Slack app, and I get a response within 5 minutes, if that.
Yeah. I want to be like, results not typical. Not everyone answers their phone within 5 minutes. Steve happens to be extremely good with his responses. But I'm so glad to hear you say some of the things, because like we actively focus on, trying to be available to our students,
Yep.
During that time frame, and trying to make it, again, a little bit more of an enjoyable experience. So the fact that you're able to come out of bar prep and say you had a little bit of fun studying for it makes me very happy. So
yeah, and I might add on here just real quick.
Yeah, please do.
One thing that I really loved about Vinco was also their use of what they call accountability partners. I can tell you that the previous times that I've taken the bar exam and studied for the bar exam, I didn't feel like I had essentially what Vinco is, a support system. So not only did I have my bar exam coach via Vinco, but I had another current student who was going through the exact same stress, the exact same rigors of studying for the bar exam, who I knew I could text all the time. If I was just basically venting to her saying, I don't want to study, what do I do? That's fine. If I came across a multiple choice question or an essay question that I either didn't know the answer to at all, or I thought that it was a sort of out of the ordinary question, and I just wanted her to see it and say, hey, did you come across this question? I would screenshot the question and send it to her. So I had someone that also made me accountable. And it's very useful to have someone that you essentially are studying with, but don't always have to go and sort of meet in person and sit in the same room as. You can just text that person. You
makes
can
it easy, right?
Like, makes it a lot easier. And I basically never had sort of the accountability partner, because realistically, when people start studying for the bar exam, or when they get into the heart of studying for the bar exam, they get stressed out and nobody wants to be around other people during the time of studying. So, but to have someone that I knew was going through the same thing, was using Vinco with me, had a similar coach that I had, was doing the same sort of practice questions as me, made the whole process easier.
Your description made me laugh a little bit, because it's like Vinco, forcing people to not be alone since 2014. Like
forcing people to be friends just because.
Yeah, exactly. Like that should be our tagline. Well, thank you so much for taking some time this morning to
You're very welcome.
Chat with us. If you guys are interested in learning more about Vinco, you can find our website at vincoprep.com, and I will be back again later this week with some more interviews with coaches and students.